Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the JustNabz podcast with Nabila and Nabil. Nabila, how was your week?
Hey everyone. Hey Nabil. I had a good week. It was a very busy week for me. What about you?
Uh, Quite average. My life is getting increasingly boring, given also the lockdown, because we're quite in a similar lockdown, similar to March, I'd say. Especially in my region here in Tuscany. So yeah, but staying home, life gets a bit boring at times. But yeah, I'd say an average week. Yeah, and also I'd like to say, of course, on behalf of both of us, we've both been overwhelmed. We were talking about it. We've been overwhelmed by all the feedback and
Messages
the
of
great,
support. It's
exactly from the
been
first episode. We
it's been very motivating for me, especially because I am very nervous with speaking to people. So it's thank you guys, thank you for and thank you Nabil for your encouragement as well. Um, yeah, I feel a lot more confident now.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, and also we did not expect that big of an audience when we wanted to start. Do you remember the first thing you told me is when I asked how many people do you think are going to listen to our first podcast? You said roughly 20 or 25. Well, I was optimistic, saying 100 people, but we both of our
And by
expectations has
25
been.
people, I meant 25 people in my family.
You have quite a wide family, I'd say. Um, which same goes for me, as I have a very wide family, but I reckon they're not as committed as yours is, since I
Yeah,
hardly
this
heard
morning
of
my
any
sister said
family
that she was
member.
this morning my sister said she was woken up to the sound of my mother listening to our podcast. So she thanked me for
Wow.
that.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's really encouraging. I've had a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine, reaching to me yesterday, saying, "You know what? I've listened to your podcast, and I really like it. I understood everything." That's been great. I mean, that's been truly encouraging. You said a good thing, because that's really encouraging. Putting out content, which is basically just what we think, how we see things. It's great. I mean, thank you to everyone, of course.
Yes, even though we talked a lot
And
about
that
Formula One in our first episode, people still stuck around. And if they've returned for the second episode, thank you again.
and we did promise, if you remember, we did promise we would not touch on Formula One this week. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to fulfill our promise. No
I
Formula
mean, we
One
can
this
slip
week.
it in here and there. I mean, I can't help but talk about Lewis Hamilton in every conversation.
I'm sure you can do it. Let's try. You can do it.
I will try.
For the
I'll try.
sake of our listeners. Yeah.
Although
Actually, we had.
let's first get this out the way that he is getting his knighthood soon. So it will be Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, okay, we shall address him that way. Okay. Let's address him as Sir Lewis from now on.
You were talking about your lockdown being very boring and being stuck at home. Mine is quite the opposite. They have relaxed lockdown a bit in South Africa. So we are allowed to travel internationally to certain countries and to cities in South Africa. So I traveled to Cape Town this past week safely. And I was surprised. Like the airports are very efficient, very clean. I was like, this is how it was supposed to be pre-COVID. Why was everything not clean before? Why is everything suddenly clean
Yeah.
because there's a
I
virus?
mean,
You should be clean all the time. But I'm glad. I'm glad people are moving towards a more cleaner environment. I'm happy about that. I am very happy about that. I love people not breathing in my face, coughing in my face, all that.
Yeah,
All that. I'm very happy. So
exactly.
it was a good experience, but I won't be traveling for a long time because I'm extremely exhausted.
Well, I can see that. I mean, I completely agree. I've been, for example, here in my city, when I get on the bus or on a train or any public transport service, we always have um, that sanitizer gel on the bus or train or whatever, and that is quite a step forward. I would bring that on for the rest of our days. I think that
Yes.
the health standards at the moment are far higher than they used to be pre-COVID. So, of course, it's been um, a dreadful pandemic. It has taken so many dear people from us, of course. But as I like to see life and the world, every bad thing has a good side, and every good thing has a bad side. I think the good side of COVID is that it raised our health standards, and I really hope that we bring this on. We keep on constantly washing hands for 20 seconds and wearing masks, especially when you
Do
feel
you still
sick
do
or
do
when
you
you
be
have.
honest? Do you still wash your hands for 20 seconds?
I do because I have, fun fact, I have an Apple Watch. And the Apple Watch, when you start washing your hands, it actually starts a 20 seconds countdown. And I am a bit of a geek, and I'm a bit addicted to technology, and I don't want to let my Apple Watch down, so I do have to keep washing my hands until the 20 seconds countdown.
Oh,
Otherwise, I feel bad and
so
I
you
feel
have that
ashamed.
connection. So you have that connection with your technology the same way that Duolingo has that connection with me. I don't want to let that app down. That
Yeah,
little owl.
yeah, but the difference is that Duolingo gets creepy at times with its notifications. The Apple Watch is not creepy at all.
No, we are not going there again. We are not going to slander my app again.
Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Duolingo matters. So let's not touch on Duolingo. I promise. And the thing about lockdown, I say that it's boring for me, but we have to bear in mind that many times, unfortunately, it has I think worse worse results on other people. There are many people who are affected by mental health issues who might suffer more from a lockdown. So we do have
Yes,
to send a clear message that if you feel bad, reach out to someone if that could help you, or reach out to someone to some expert who can actually help you. Um, so we've had like a couple of months ago, I don't remember when, but we had the mental issues day, mental health day, and it shouldn't be just a day. We always should remember, even if we have a small platform at the moment, we should remember everyone to take your mental health seriously and reach out if you need to.
definitely. Yes, it always helps talking to someone. Um, Although it's not like 100%, you don't, magically feel better, any better. But sometimes you just need someone to listen to you. You don't need their advice. You don't need them giving you words of encouragement. You just need them to listen. Um, and that's what I find helps me a lot. Like, don't talk back. Don't give me motivation, or don't don't give me words of encouragement. Just listen to me. Yeah, but that is it's
Absolutely agree.
the my only issue with it is people who didn't really care about the issue before lockdown and before COVID are suddenly now using this as an excuse to forward their agendas, and I don't think that's fair. um You know, mental health is just
Mm-hmm.
as important as physical health. It's a real issue, and we need to
I agree.
stop um, making it a buzzword. Like suddenly, people find it like they can capitalize on this because now suddenly, you know, everyone's talking about it, and you know, they treat it like a buzzword when it's actually a serious issue.
It is, and it's also important. Just if you're a friend, even if you feel good and you feel like someone is a bit down or feeling bad, even asking, "Are you okay?" I saw today a an interview with Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, and she had a miscarriage earlier this year, and I think this summer, maybe during in July, and she had a really bad time, and she she was also in the middle of the whole issue in the UK with his husband getting out of the royal family with her. So many people were actually throwing garbage at her, and she had a very rough time, and so the interviewer just asked her, "Are you okay?" And she brightened up. Just having someone asking you, "Are you okay?" many times does more good than you could ever think. So if you think that someone is feeling bad, reach out to them, give them time, just listen to them. Do not give any advice, just listen to them, and I'm very sure that they will they will climb back and bounce back, whatever the problem is.
Unless it's Nabil after 9 p.m., don't. You can contact me. You can reach out to me, not Nabil after 9 p.m.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm kind and everything, but my kindness stops at 9 p.m. From
You
9
have
p.m. on, I
deadlines.
get just grumpy. You can have the grumpy Nabil after 9 p.m. But yeah,
Completely understandable. You don't want the grumpy Nabil.
yeah. I mean, before 9 p.m., I'm kind. I'm kind a bit, but after 9 p.m., no, at all. And I just wanted to weigh in on the thing you said, because I absolutely agree with you on the fact that there are so many so-called cloud chasers that, based on what's happening, they try to follow the wave. So when they didn't care about mental illness, and they magically started caring during mental health day. Same goes for women. So today we shall address that it's the day against violence on women. I do not feel I'm the right person to give any speech on this matter, of course, because um, I have been fortunate not to suffer from many things that some women have been suffering from. That's why I haven't said one single word, let it be on Twitter or anywhere. I don't think that today is my platform. That is why I'm not going to say anything. I just wanted to say that we all should strive for a better world, and a better world includes um, living in a healthy society. So do not go on Twitter looking for likes, on Facebook or Instagram looking for likes, posting something for International Women's Day or whatever. Do your part privately. Shut up on that day publicly. Shut up and let women have their platform. And if you want to carry your battle, which you should do, carry it privately. Even if it's just an argument, having an argument with an obnoxious friend, or even just standing up to your parents, maybe, and saying, "No, this is not the world I would like to live in the future." That is your part. But today, for the rest of the day, even if this message is going to come later, just shut up.
So I think it's more than just a day. We are going to be having um, 16 days of activism against 16 days of activism against no 16 days of activism for violence against women
Hmm.
and children. And for me, as a South African woman, it's an issue that's very close to home and to my heart, because I know people who've been affected by gender-based violence, and it's a constant it's a constant battle. It's a constant you walk down the street, you don't feel safe. You you go to the stores, you don't feel safe. We can't walk out after a certain hour. And just last year, I think it was last year, a young woman, Uyenene, was killed at a post office in Cape Town, and that it just made massive waves through South Africa, because we were like, I mean, we can't even go to a post office without being killed. And there were huge protests. I did attend that, and I believe there are more protests happening again this month. I'll share the details on my Instagram. But if you can, if you are in South Africa or anywhere in the world, if there are protests, and if you are able to and you are not, at risk, get involved. But also, if you are going to protest, be safe. I'll also post, I'll share, protective measures that you can take when protesting during the pandemic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said, I'm not going to add any words on this because I know this is actually just to those who ask what's the privilege, because so many people do not know what a privilege is.
Mm,
My privilege, and I know that it is many other men's privilege, is to go out without thinking who's behind you. So I
yes.
don't constantly turn, which is
Mm,
something that many girls have been saying. I constantly have to turn back, and it is not because of me, because I know I've never done such things, but it is something that we all have to own up to
mm,
in order to fight it. So the first thing, when you're ill and something is going on in your body, the first thing that the doctor does is diagnose your problem. We should diagnose the problem and then fight it. But as long as people
mm.
are going to say there's no problem or what's a privilege or whatever, we're never going to solve it.
And
So
I mean, the worst part is, like, if I see men walking behind me or like near me, I always, like, will, like, reach into my bag, just to be like, okay, I have a weapon with me, or I have pepper spray. And or you hold your bag closer, or you speed up walking, you walk faster, and they'll laugh at you, like. But I
mhm.
mean, yeah, we can't trust anyone. So it's not a joke. It's really not a joke. If you also pranks, I've seen so many pranks where they they abduct women and stuff. I said, I'm like, that is not funny. It's not a prank. This is a real
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, this day actually comes because, like a couple of weeks ago, they arrested here in Italy an entrepreneur who is a millionaire and had this huge disco, I reckon, and he used to make use of drugs and he used to drug some women to then rape them. It is really staggering the reaction that some journalists and some part of the media here in Italy have had, saying that that girl, because there's one girl who came out and said this is what's going on in that place. So they've been blaming that girl, saying that she's been naive going there. And
It's
yeah,
always blaming the woman. It's always blame the woman.
I've not commented on that. I mean, I don't feel like I was the right one, but I've been getting the same feedback privately, and that I have been, of course, fighting. Um, but yeah, I mean, we
the
all
thing
have
the thing
to,
with speaking out is there's a time and place for everything, and you need
yeah,
to know what to say and how to say it. You can't just spew a bunch of buzzwords and
yeah,
stuff just for clout. It's not a clout issue.
it's also about visibility. So I've been noticing that many people. There's one famous journalist here in Italy who's been saying these things about that poor woman who's been repeatedly raped. So what they're looking for is just visibility. They just
Yes.
want clout, and I'm not going to give it to them. So if I comment publicly, I do know that certain things have to be fought because it is everyone's battle, um, but especially women's battle. But we have to do our part, of course. But I'm not going to comment on those things because I'm not going to give you visibility. Once you don't have visibility, once everyone stops screaming out what you're saying, you will stop looking for it. So that's what I reckon is part of of the current problem in the current world. Constantly looking for visibility, saying something controversial just for the sake of it.
Mm.
I cannot relate to that. Actually, I've had many arguments regarding other things, and people telling me I'm always trying to be controversial. I'm the least. I don't like to be controversial. My ideas sometimes are controversial, but not on this. And being controversial, I cannot relate to that.
Yeah. No, you are the least controversial person I know.
Thank you, thank you. I would like to throw in the Michael Scott GIF saying thank you.
Do you say GIF or GIF?
I usually say GIF because in Italian I is pronounced G, so I usually say GIF. But
I say
I
GIF
think,
as well. It's
yeah,
GIF. It's
it's
GIF.
GIF. So all the GIF community can go off and just close the podcast. It's okay. Go look
Shut it
for a
down,
GIF
shut it
podcast.
down.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye to the GIF community. Right. So yeah, I let's hope
And
that.
and speaking about just going back, touching on women facing these issues. On the other hand, we get men who also face issues. And I think this is all the aftermath and the result and the outcome of the patriarchy,
Yeah,
where men suffer at the hands of men.
exactly. Patriarchy has done. Um, I won't say that it has done no good for men because, of course, from patriarchy, it's clear that men have profited from it more than women. But we also have to take into account the amount of pressure that this gives, because many men have been suffering from mental issues, given by the fact that they are supposedly have to live at a certain standard, otherwise they're
Yes,
not worthy. That is something that comes from patriarchy. And to be fair, and I have to say this, patriarchy nowadays is more clear, more evident in the Arab world, which where I come from, and it is just a matter of fact that men have to be men, women have to be women, men have to be bringing everything on their shoulders. They have to be strong. They don't have to cry. There's no emotions. They have to be stone cold and ready to fight. It is something. It is. I mean, it's a huge pressure on men as well. So that's what the International Men's Day was about last week, which created a bit of controversy because many people regarded it as being misogynistic or something, which is actually not. Which is not. Our common enemy is patriarchy. It is not
yeah,
men or women, not at all. It's patriarchy. So we should fight that. We should actually unite and fight
yes.
that all together.
You dismantle the patriarchy, smash that patriarchy.
I do agree.
Um, I am all for feminism. I do believe in, equity for women. Um, but at the same time, don't you can't crush men because it's a circle, it's a cycle. If men feel defeated or they bottle their anger, they're going to eventually take it out on a woman or a child. And the cycle continues. Women get harmed because of men. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
vicious cycle.
um, and I'm going to say something else that might be a bit controversial, but I have to say it. If on this whole matter of men and women, we should open up for dialogue, for discussion, because we need to educate the future generations at some point. We will all have potentially, most of us will have children. We will have to educate them. In order to do that, we need also to take care of the current generation. And
Mm.
not everyone thinks like us. So if you close down the door on someone who's asking questions, who needs to be educated on some matters, you're doing no good for it. If a man comes along and says, I think like this, what do you think? If you don't want to have a discussion, just go off and do not reply, do not answer. But when I go on social media and I see things like you're a man, you cannot talk, or men are trash, all men are trash, or things like that, I do not feel that's the right way to do it.
I think we refer to men are trash is it's the patriarchy we're talking about. Obviously, there are a few good men, who are allies and who are good people. So the men are trash. Yeah, I've had this discussion so many times. It's always
Hmm.
back and forth. There's never you're always gonna get men who say, but not all men. But
Yeah, of course.
in the
No, no,
end,
no, no,
it's
no.
it's those. Yeah,
It is not all men. I hope we all know that. And I know where it comes from. It comes from the fact that uh, many women cannot randomly trust a man, and we cannot. When you cannot randomly trust a man, you suppose logically that every single man must have a dark side, which could potentially turn into something unpleasant. I get that. What I don't what I don't think is what I don't think is not right is the whole men are trash thing. Even though I get where you're coming from, but I do not think. I just think it's bringing that fight between men and women, which should not be there. Which we should all be all together fighting for the same cause. So
crushing the patriarchy.
right. So that is why I do not think that's the right way to do it.
I know
But
you're
yeah,
directly talking to me.
I'm not. Swear to God, I'm not. I did literally,
We
literally
we
not.
had this discussion a bit off air, um,
Hmm.
where I took my stance on this issue.
Oh God. It's water. Okay,
Trying to get
sorry,
out
it's
of
water.
it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I think that ultimately everyone will have their opinion, and I do know that very few people will agree with me on this. So here's the controversial side of me. But yeah, I just hope that in the future we can get more along and educate all together those who need to be educated without the constant fights that arise from time to time. So yeah, um, moving on. While we're recording, just saw the news that Diego Maradona apparently is dead. He had a heart attack and he's dead. So, as if this episode could not get any heavier.
Yeah, that is he was a true legend of the game, despite his
Yeah,
controversial life, private life. He was truly a legend.
he was. And I think that nowadays, losing a sportsman is touching. I feel like if you remember at the beginning of 2020, we opened 2020 with the death of Kobe Bryant. And the thing about sportsmen is that they have they bring joy. So when we watch sports, we watch it because, of course, it entertains us, and people who entertain us, of course, bring us joy. So when we lose them, that is why many people get affectionate to sportsmen, because they actually do what men and women and or humans are meant to do, just bring
Mm.
joy. Yeah. So well, I think that I've never been a huge fan of Maradona. I didn't even witness his prime time.
Oh yeah, you were
But
still
yeah, I think that
an infant. I grew up, just here. I didn't really understand football as a kid, but I just would always hear his name being thrown around, and yeah,
yeah, even even nowadays, even okay, I didn't witness him, but even when I was playing, and I remember because I used to play football, and when someone used to try and do some tricks or something, they always would say, "And who do you think you are, Maradona?" He's always been the benchmark. So losing the benchmark is a huge dark day for the whole sport.
yeah, no, definitely.
Oh
I
well,
mean,
I
I remember him
wish.
as a
Oh,
coach also he was really funny. He was a funny guy. He had a good sense of humor.
he did.
What a,
Well,
what was
I
that
think
the one
I
game
think
where
that
he went completely crazy, and oh, I can't, it was an international game, and the memes that came out of that, wow.
yeah. I mean, memes. We think that memes just came on with the internet, but actually, even before memes, even before the internet, people had memes in some sort of way.
Yeah, I remember when the like official memes first came out. It was these little drawn stick figures. They had like really massive heads.
Hmm.
Um, there
Yeah.
was Why You Know Guy. Um, yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago actually. But I remember when
Wow.
memes first emerged.
I don't think I think that I started witnessing memes after Troll Face. I think that
Yes,
Troll
yes,
Face
yes.
was my first meme. And then came the Forever Alone.
Why was that
And
relatable?
it was specifically in a certain period of my high school times. It was relatable. I could literally relate to it because, of course, you hit puberty and all that, all things puberty brings on. And yes, it was relatable to some extent. And there's so, I mean, memes have evolved so
Well, in
much.
high
I
school
think
we
that,
didn't have memes, so it was music for me, and I just remember being so dramatic in high school because I always thought I'm gonna die alone. So yeah, it was
oh,
it was a lot of Linkin
wow.
Park, Taylor Swift,
Mm-hmm.
the sad stuff, the heavy stuff, the I used to write a lot of poetry as well in high school.
Oh, I think that poetry, Japanese soldiers used to do that with haiku poetry. So you might have an inner Japanese side in you.
Well, it could be from my ancestors from the subcontinent,
Oh, wow,
that
that would be.
influence. But yeah, oh, high school, don't even remind me. Don't take me back.
Do you miss high
No,
school? Do you miss high school?
never, not a chance. What about you?
I actually do, and I feel like I'm one of the few. But it's just because high school, I had so many good people around me. So that's been a great fortune of mine. I mean, I think I'm still friends with the majority of people that were
Wow.
in my class.
Uh,
Yeah, they're just amazing people, and I get along with them so well. and I mean, it's just the connection. It was so solid,
I I
but
have
I
like
reckon it's not
two
always like
friends that
that.
I'm still really close with, and I know they're going to listen to this episode just because it's me talking.
And you're talking
No,
trash
no, no, I'm
about
not
them.
talking trash about
Nice
them.
one.
They're my only two friends from high school that are still my friends, like, my day ones.
Uh,
So shout out to them, you know exactly who you are.
yeah. Shout out to you. I feel you. You must have gone through something. So yeah, shout out to you.
What are you trying to say?
No, nothing. I'm just, as you said, we have to be close to people who might be suffering at some point. So that is why I'm close to them.
Okay, I did suffer through high school. I did suffer. Yeah, it
Well,
wasn't a
yeah,
joke.
I mean,
It was.
yeah, no, but that comes with
Mm.
puberty as well. So
I feel like it's a
that's
lot.
another
It's a lot
factor to
harder
take
for
into account.
girls. Just I don't know about you or guys, or I can't speak for guys because I went to an all girls school. So for us, it was a lot of body image issues. Um, you know, uh, the usual gossiping. Yeah, outcasting girls
Uh,
for being different. It was a lot of that. I don't know if it was like that for you.
I don't know who has it worse, but it's not easy for boys either because y everyone puts some kind of standard, be that what you're wearing or how many girls you're able to pick up in one night at the disco at the club. So I don't know. It's that whole. I think that whole atmosphere that evolves around high school is highly critical in some points, and uh, yeah, I mean, I can't say who has it worse. To be fair, who if it's girls or boys, but they both put these random and nonsense standards to which
Mm,
everyone has to adhere to be
yeah.
worthy. So yeah, both of them, boys or girls, everyone.
Yeah, no, I definitely struggled through high school and I'm glad that's over.
Oh,
Very glad.
I, ju- I mean, I don't miss. I mean, I reckon high school was a good place. Okay, I've had a hugely great time. But I miss the people who were there. People maybe that now I'm not talking to anymore, but who are ultimately good people, and I would like to, of course, get in touch. But life goes on, and you lose sight of some. You
Mm.
keep others close. But all in all, I'd say that I've had some good people around me.
It's actually funny that I met up with one of someone who I was friends with in high school. She was in one of my classes, and I hadn't seen her since high school, I think, or since college. And I met up with her at Winter Wonderland in London, of all
Hmm.
places.
Wow.
So, yeah, life has its ways of reuniting people.
Yeah, London is a small city, so it's easy to, to find someone. That's
Is it
peculiar.
small? I found London was big.
It is. It is. Of course, it's big.
I was
Um.
clocking in my steps in that city.
Oh, really? Did you get lost?
No, actually, I we didn't get lost. I got lost in Madrid once. Yeah.
Madrid. How did you get lost? Was it before Google Maps?
Yeah. I
Oh,
not before. I made the mistake of not getting a SIM card in Spain.
oh, so was
So
it was it before Wi-Fi?
yeah, basically where you had to go to like a McDonald's.
Oh.
Yeah, you had to find the nearest McDonald's and connect to the Wi-Fi. So yeah, that was an experience, but nevertheless, it was fun.
Hmm. Wow. And how did you get back on road? How did you find your way?
Um, I don't know. I can't remember actually.
Oh,
So we took the red bus, and then the red bus cuts off at 6 o'clock. So we had to get off, and then we kind of just used a paper map. Yes. So
a
we kind of
paper map.
yes, so we figured out
Are you
uh
friends with Indiana Jones? No, really. I've never in my life used a paper map.
yes, you're a bit too young for that, but believe it or not, paper maps were the thing that we had to resort to back in the day. So yes, we found the little not a little arch, it was a big arch that was near the hotel that we were staying at. We kind of like directed ourselves to that arch and then found our hotel from there.
Wow. I mean, no, really, because sometimes here in Florence, so Florence is every time you go out, it's literally full of tourists, and sometimes there are these nice people with paper maps, and I always look at them. I'm mystified by them. How people can still be using paper maps? I mean, I
It's
hugely
probably
respect that.
the thrill of, adventure and
Okay, is it
finding your
thrilling
own
though?
way.
Is
I
it
don't know.
thrilling?
I was lost. For me, it was a matter of survival. Um,
Right, survival in a digitalized city like Madrid. If you want to survive, you can go in the jungle. Not quite Madrid.
hey, 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 please! I'm from the jungle.
Oh, right. So,
You know,
city is the
Africa, we we
adventure for
we
you.
we live we live amongst trees, and we have lions roaming around here.
That is the thing I like the most about Africa, and the thing that pushes me the most to try and visit those places. That would be quite an experience for me. I wouldn't use,
Yeah.
yeah, I would be using paper maps there.
No, no, no. There's good luck finding Wi-Fi in the middle of a savannah slash safari park.
You
Yeah,
do know that
because
one day, not too far in the future, we might actually have that.
the
So
Wi-Fi in
yeah, because these some American companies are actually launching satellites which are going to orbit around the Earth
yes, I've actually
at
heard about
low,
that.
yeah, at low altitude to and that potentially could bring even the desert to have a stable Wi-Fi connection.
Were they not testing that in Kenya? I think they were testing it
I
in
have no
Kenya.
idea. Maybe. It quite depends. I mean, it quite depends on where the satellite is because when a specific satellite is not over you, so when it shifts to
Mm.
a little bit ahead, you have to have another satellite coming on the train behind it in order to stay connected. Otherwise, you would have to wait until the satellite comes back over your head. So I don't know if they're actually testing them now. They've run some tests, of course, at the factory, otherwise they cannot launch them if they're
Mm.
not functional. But yeah, that would be. I think that's one of the most amazing projects that uh,
That's quite
we
cool,
as
actually.
humans. Yeah, I mean that's also for the possibilities for Africa. We all know that Africa needs to get on with its potential, and I
Mm.
think that a worldwide, uh, stable internet connection could actually steer that up.
I mean, I'm surprised my internet has hung on this long, so that we we can record. So, we're making progress.
All right. Thank you to the Silicon Valley, to everyone that's providing this internet connection somehow, and yeah. But I think
Do you know one thing I don't like coming back to safaris is like staged safaris where they
yeah,
purposely like put the animals in a certain spot and they're like, wow, there's the lion. Like, my
absolutely
guy, you
agree.
didn't know the lion was, you knew the lion was going to be
Yeah.
there. Do not act shook.
Surprised.
Yeah.
You don't say. Wow, Sherlock
Because I
Holmes.
mean,
Yeah,
you can see the fences and everything. I want to go on a proper safari where, like, you have no idea where that animal is gonna come out from.
right. To be fair, if you want to see animals in their natural habitat, you have to be the one in the cage and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
going. Yeah, it
Deaths.
is true. I mean, that's the only way you could actually experience the whole thing, which is basically just walking there, just having a cage around you so that you don't get eaten up. But I reckon that's the only way to do it, to properly do it.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think
well.
you'd get eaten though. Um, it depends what mood the animals are in. When we were younger, we had a rhino chase us in our car.
Hmm.
That was an interesting experience.
Oh, wow. I've been, I've been, I've been to some safaris here in Europe, as you can imagine, they're not
Mm. I would
quite.
I would imagine that should be like a zoo.
Yeah, they are all zoos, but they are so huge. And the thing about zoos, right? So it depends on how they're made. There's this big zoo in Singapore, which I think is the best zoo in the world. Especially the part about birds. Um, they're kept, of course, in captivity. I mean, they cannot go wherever they want, but it's so extensive. So if you go on Google Maps and you search Singapore, you can see at the center of the whole island a huge green part. That is all a zoo. It is huge. I mean, properly, like Donald Trump would say, huge. It is it is massive and it's great. I mean, that's the zoo I mostly respect in the whole world.
Personally, I'm against zoos and circuses and SeaWorld
Of course.
that keeps
Y-
whales, but also I understand from a conservation side, they are needed to
Yeah,
educate the public and rescue animals that absolutely cannot survive in the wild. So I get it, but I'm not going to actively go to a zoo where they purposely took out a lion from the wild and now he's starving in a cage, or I've seen I've
absolutely.
seen I've seen a polar bear at a zoo in South Africa. Do you know what our weather is like here? It is flippin' hot. It is so hot here. That poor bear, I wanted to cry. It was so
Yeah,
sad. I was telling my
it
mother, I was
is.
like, I want to let the bear out.
It is, but then again, sometimes zoos actively rescue some animals. So, for
Yes,
example, some Asian zoos actively rescue pandas, and we all know that pandas are suffering at the moment, especially in
yes,
some areas in China. As well as I was looking at on the TV like a couple of days ago, they were talking about the last white giraffe, or what was it? There in Africa,
yes,
and they were trying to preserve it. It breaks my heart every single time I hear the last. Because even
yeah.
though I didn't know anything about that specific animal, about that specific species, I feel bad for something that's going off and we're never getting back. And
Mm.
yeah, that breaks my heart truly.
To witness extinction, like I know growing up as a kid, you always heard about the dodo going extinct and this going extinct, and I mean, growing up and actually experiencing animals going extinct before your eyes, it's just like, wow, we are
I
living
absolutely,
through
yeah,
it.
I absolutely agree.
But there are some positives where they are rediscovering animals who haven't been seen in years again. And so I mean, there's some positives. I guess the
Yeah,
earth has to balance itself
yeah,
out. But
absolutely,
mm.
absolutely. Well, we
did
are.
you watch Sir David Attenborough's um, a day in the life of our planet?
Oh, Netflix kept suggesting it, but I just watched the introduction, I reckon. Nothing more than that. So this, I still need to watch it. It's like on my watch list, but I haven't gotten.
A life.
Uh,
It's called A Life on Our Planet. It
Oh,
was
oh,
the visuals are beautiful. It's stunning. It's stunning.
yeah,
And I really admire Sir David Attenborough. He has such a soothing voice as well.
he does.
And when he tells you, we need to start doing something to preserve, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. What can I do? I will, I will
Yeah.
drop everything now to save the planet for you, kind sir.
Wow.
Such a hero. No,
Yeah.
genuinely good guy. Um, I grew up watching his
Well, shout out to
documentaries.
David. Maybe he'll be listening to us one day. So shout out to David, old friend.
Huge fan. Huge, huge fan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Uh, great. So it's been 50 minutes. Let's not bore our listeners any longer, shall we?
What is your song of the week?
Song of the week. Right. It's wait, I have it saved here. And it's do we have a drum? Do we have drums? No, we don't. It's Daddy Cool by Boney M. It's a 1994 song. No one
Okay,
is going to
okay.
know
We are
it.
going back in the time, back in the
It
time
is.
machine.
We are, but it's great. I love it. It's been bouncing in my head for the last 5 days, I reckon. So this is my song of the week. How about you?
My song of the week is. I actually have not been listening to anything this week.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Sorry to
We had a
disappoint you
nice
this.
climax. We had a nice climax. You just smashed it.
I am sorry. I smashed it like the way I want to smash the patriarchy down.
Okay, okay. Fair enough then. Fair enough.
And speaking of which, have you watched The Crown yet?
No. I'm waiting for people to stop talking about it so I can get on with
Okay.
it. So, yeah, if
I
you're
think I'm
listening,
still
just.
stuck. I'm still stuck on season 2, so I need to start that again.
Oh, me too. So let's do it. Let's go at a similar pace so we
We
can
can
get
we
some.
can we can do a Netflix party and then discuss our verdict in our next episode.
Marvelous. Would love to.
And I have one question which someone asked me after our first episode.
Uh-huh.
They asked me if we talk outside of the podcast. And I said, we
I
do
know what you're
not.
going to say. I know what you're going to say.
We don't talk, guys, out of this podcast. Anything that happens here, we are all hearing it for the first time.
Absolutely.
This is
And
unscripted, raw
also because
discussions.
you can say it. Also because you can say it since you've been saying it
It's
out
because he's
publicly.
grumpy.
And because I'm grumpy, because I do not oftenly reply to messages. So, um, I'm sorry.
I'm always left on red, and yeah, I'm just like, oh, this boy is so rude. So last night when you, oh no, last night when you messaged me, I was sleeping, genuinely sleeping.
So you're not rude. I'm the
No,
only one who's rude.
I'm not rude.
Okay.
You're the
Okay.
rude. So to answer the
Absolutely.
question, we don't talk outside of this podcast, and everything you hear, we are here. I'm also hearing for the first time. He's hearing for the first time what I have to say. Boom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Otherwise, it wouldn't be natural. It would be some scripted thing that no one would like to hear.
And I wholeheartedly believe in authenticity. Authenticity. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
me
the
too.
word.
Me too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Being real, being genuine, being yourself. And that's what I firmly believe in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, with that, on that note, we shall say goodbye to our users. Have a wonderful weekend, and text us with, or reply on Twitter or anything with your
We have a
thoughts, with
Twitter
your
page and we
feedback.
have an Instagram page now. So you
Yeah,
can follow
at
us at
JustNabz
JustNabz
podcast.
Podcast on
Yeah,
Instagram and on Twitter. I think it's
yeah,
the same.
It is. Let's not give the wrong username, but I reckon it is.
I think it is.
Yeah, absolutely. JustNabz
You'll
podcast
find
on
us.
Twitter and Instagram. Send us your feedback, your questions, if any.
DMs.
And
You can slide into my DMs with questions.
absolutely. And if you want to insult me, you can find me at just insult the JustNabz podcast. I will get on with it.
We'll between us we'll sift through those messages.
Of
Uh,
course, of course, of course. And DMs are open, of course.
but don't
So
be rude. Don't be rude.
yeah,
Nabil's a
thank
very
you.
nice guy,
Oh, thank you.
except for the fact that he supports Ferrari. So
Wait, good luck. Good luck for on the Grand Prix.
yes,
Um, absolutely, absolutely. The
triple
Bahrain Grand
header,
Prix.
finishing off this year strong.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope that everyone finishes strong, and you two have a good weekend. Have a great weekend, actually. Take
Yes.
care. Stay
I'll
safe.
speak to you next week.
Yep. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
The JustNabz podcast is brought to you by Eccentrical Magazine, which you can find at eccentricalmag.com. Eccentrical is an amazing place where young people come and share their ideas and try to shape the media of the future. You're free to join us. Contact us using readers at eccentricalmag.com. Until next week, stay safe.